Hello and welcome to Lansdowne Roar live. A very special edition, something a bit different. We haven't been live on a Sunday night for a while, um, so we just thought we'd go for a little quick fire reaction to obviously tonight's European Championship final. Spain have won 2-1 against England. It's not coming home, I'm sure, much to the relief of everyone in Ireland. We'll get to that in a second. Especially my WhatsApp group that I'm in, and I don't mean the writers group. You know who you are. But anyway, David Dunn here, of course. No Martin tonight. He's out watching. I'm sure he's watching with a few mates in a ditch somewhere. Very, very happy probably with the result. If this is your first time watching Lansdowne Roar, welcome, by the way. Going to be a bit different tonight from the usual programming. Normally we're live on a Wednesday. We have shows every Monday, Wednesday live, and on a Friday, and we let you get involved. We let you have your say on just on everything really. And normally it goes on for about 90 minutes. If you like what you see, you love what you hear, do hit that subscribe button, do scan that QR code, and do head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter account. And if you want opinion, go over to lansdowneroar.ie. That is lansdowneroar.ie. See the first comment coming in there. Going to let the comments build up. But have you say, leave a comment, get involved. Are you happy England have lost? Are you happy Spain have won? Spain winning their fourth European Championship, so they are the most successful club international team in Europe. Are you happy with that? Does that make you happy? Are you just happy that England didn't win? See, I had a bit of a discussion / argument with my friends, and basically, they all support bar one Man United. Sorry, not Man United. Premier League teams, and I felt this vitriol towards England, and I just thought we all support Premier League teams. I don't understand it. Bar one, he's a Pats man. Fair play to him. So I don't know. Are you in the same camp? Are you just delighted it's not England? Do you think are you an Irish Premier League fan? And are you delighted that England didn't win? Or did you want to see England win? Does it make us bitter as a nation to want England to win? Is it rivalry? Is it history? I'm not saying that you should support England, by the way, at all. I just want to know. I just want to get everyone's rationale behind it. Because I'm going to just show you a few things. We'll get to the game anyway. We'll talk about the game, but they're the comments I want to get into. Is it time? And I'm asking a question before I get absolutely hammered. Is it time that maybe Irish fans, if they want, I suppose, I don't know, it's a weird one. I'm not saying you should support England, but if you got England, Spain, and you're supporting an English team, you're probably more in common with the English football team than you would the Spanish team. Now I know we all have our second countries. For years, I used to support the Dutch team, which is kind of ironic because they were like our number one nemesis for years on the Jack. But that was a fabulous Dutch team with Bergkamp, Overmars, even the one before that with Hulle, Van Basten, Ronald Koeman, and his brother Frank Koeman, I think. No, that's not his name. I get mixed up with Ronald and Frank de Boer. I just sort of want to get to that. But we'll talk about the game first anyway. But, have you say, leave a comment, get involved. And I see some comments coming in there. Keep them in. I'm going to get to them. No, we're not going to be here all night. As we normally are through the comments. We're gonna go to the comments as we go, and also if you want to ask me anything, please do. This is Irish football's most interactive podcast. It is the voice of the fans, and we give you your say. If you've never watched it before, this is the show where you get your say. You get to ask anything. Keep it classy to a degree. Say what you want, but just don't get us kicked off the air, kind of thing. Well, here they are. Here's the Spanish lads there winning. They were. First and foremost, right? Never mind the England argument. Congratulations to Spain. They were by far the better team in the game. England were poor. They could have been 3 or 4 up, I thought, England kind of went in with fear. Um, Spain just looked like they could just go through the gears, and they did. Obviously took the lead. Nico Williams. I mean, lovely finish from that boy. Kyle Walker giving him so much time and space. It was incredible, but he did so well. Pickford, no chance. And then, of course, the equaliser was absolutely phenomenal. Palmer. Let me get some stats up here. Palmer, bit of a deflection, and it was beautifufully taken. Cole Palmer, and then that was on the 72nd minute, and then Mikel Oyarzabal. Am I saying that right? Oyarzabal? Because you don't say the Z, do you? It's I don't know. I can't even pronounce the Irish names most of the time. He got a goal in the 86th minute. No reprieve from VAR, as maybe I was watching it on ITV. What channel did you watch it on, by the way? I watched it on BBC initially, and then my PlusNet, who, by the way, if you live in the UK like I do, I live in London, PlusNet is the single worst internet provider. If you're thinking of going to a new internet provider and you think of PlusNet, don't. They are rubbish. My internet went down 6 times during the final. So I don't know. I just switched to ITV and I was watching that instead. What channel did you watch it on? Did you watch it on RTE? Saw some comments there on ITV. On Twitter about Ronnie Whelan on RTE apparently being too pro England. What did you make of that? What did you make of the final? One man I'm sure is absolutely delighted with the final, and here he is, James McLean. He did this last year, didn't he? As well, he was any team that England played. There he is. By the way, sorry for the audio listeners. He is wearing a Spanish jersey. He's quite pleased. I'm sure he's pleased now. I couldn't get a response to that. In terms of another post, I couldn't contact James McLean for a comment or anything. He did it last year, didn't he? He did it in Euro 2020, and any team England played, and he was playing in England at the time, and he wonders why he gets so much abuse. But that's there he is there, and there's actually Martin sent this over to me. Hi, Martin, if you're watching, and Jude Bellingham there he is, booting. What's that? The VAR machine. Booting over the VAR machine. A friend of mine once said to me about Harry Maguire that he's the kind of player, he's an idiot, and he's the kind of player that's square up to a VAR machine. Well, Jude Bellingham, as talented as he is, and he's got talent, there he is kicking over the VAR machine. I believe that's the VAR machine anyway, from the photograph. It's funny, like, you see Harry Kane there, and I know the Harry Kane jokes are going to come in, and he's going to get dogs abuse, but there he is, and, you see, well, that's the difference right there, isn't it? There's Jude Bellingham booting over a VAR machine, and Harry Kane, when he was taken off as a sub by his manager on the 60th, I think it was the 60th minute he came off. Not a word from him. Not a hint of dissent. Nothing. Just went off. Did his, showed class, showed leadership, showed decorum. And, there's Jude Bellingham kicking over a VAR monitor. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the comments. Era v Ireland, or equals Ireland, sorry. Still, dear Germany were robbed, but as far as I'm concerned, anyone but the English. Why is that? May I, if you don't mind me asking, why is that? And normally we sort of give it a bit of time. For the why does it say 11:03 on that? Normally we give it a bit of time for the comments, but I want to get into the comments. But why is that? Why anyone but the English? Era equals Ireland. What is your reason for that? Also, you follow up on that comment. Kane rather showing a lack of passion and care, whilst Bellingham showing it in spades. So you think I'm not having a go at you, but you feel that that's passion by Bellingham. Do you not think that Bellingham though has been childish? Also, I think he's been quite poor, Bellingham, even though he got the overhead kick. I don't think he's really. I think he's flattered to deceive a little bit during the tournament. I mean, he got the overhead kick. That was fantastic, but, I don't think he did much. Neither did Kane, by the way. Apparently, Kane went in with a back injury. I don't think he played full 90 minutes, did he? I think of one of the games he may have. I don't know. I don't think that's passion. I don't think it's like when your team loses and you go and you smash up a phone box and someone goes, "Why'd you do that?" "Oh, my team lost." You know, "But why'd you do that?" "Oh, I'm passionate." Don't know. I just find it a bit strange. Nathan Fitzpatrick, Formosus, see you in Dublin, England. Yes, that's right. That will be England's next game. Will Gareth Southgate be the manager? We have our manager, Hyman Hallgrimsson. I think I'm saying that right. But will England have Gareth Southgate? Um, Coming back in that era equals Ireland. The egoist fans believing they deserve it every time we get around to a tournament. Yeah, but why is that? Why do you think that? Because I'll be honest, I've lived in London for 13 years, and I remember when the World Cup came around in 2018, and my sister's English, um, born and bred over here, and I remember telling them all, like, "You've got a really good team. I think you do well in the World Cup." And I was like, "No, no, no, we're crap. We're rubbish. Can't play. Absolutely rubbish." It's like, "No, no, no. I think you do well. You got to the semis. You know, probably should have won the last Euros as well in 2021." Now we know that was a mess outside the stadium. I was there that day. I was working actually, and that was quite scary. But I don't think the English fans are egoist. I think that's just something. And please come back. Come back. But I just think that's a bit of a fallacy. I think that's sort of just we think like we look back to the 90s, and we just I think it's just a kind of it's a rhetoric that's sort of dispelled or not spelled. It's a rhetoric that sort of does the rounds. Sorry guys, my vocabulary is struggling. Um it's been a long day, but I just think that's the sort of rhetoric that kind of makes the rounds in Irish media. I've genuinely never found that over here. I see it in spades, my workplace, social media, and of course the panelists like Caraher also. Yeah, I mean, I saw one today though as well, where Paul Merson, balls.ie now getting in on the act, and he had Paul Merson saying, "Oh, do you remember he was so confident they'd win it?" Well, they got to the final. Granted, it was the um, easiest route they possibly could have had, and I think this England team really should have done better with the talent at their disposal. They had a really simple route to the final. There were seconds going out against Slovakia. Um, and then they came back. They got to Switzerland on penalties, beat the Dutch with a late goal. Weren't really great. Probably played all right. I think they played okay in the first half, and he went down. But really, I think they really should have done better. Um, and also Bellingham is young, age 20 or so. He is, by all accounts, a reaction like that. Yeah, but there's a bit of I've been kind of seeing some things from him as well. That make me kind of put me off him a little bit, off Jude Bellingham. He's a great talent. He is young. He's quite fiery. But apparently he's not making friends with the English media. He doesn't really speak to them unless he's getting a man of the match award, or sorry, person. What's it? Player of the match award now we say these days. Um, and you don't think it's great, but you don't think it's fair to call it childish. I don't know. I mean, did you see when he was supposed to he thought he was being substituted, and the look he gave Southgate looked like he was going to go over and swing from. I think it was the game against the Dutch. And it looked like um, he'd overturned the substitution. And you think the English media are hardly the standard for showing one's character. Don't think any media really is the standard for showing character as well. And yeah, there are certain parts of the English media still to this day. They're nowhere near as bad as they were in the 90s. You think of the Swedes 2, turnips 1. And when he called Bobby Robson a traitor. That was going back to Euro 92, by the way. Sorry. When Thomas Brolin got the winner, Euro 92. I remember watching that with my granddad. And they hounded Graham Taylor out of the job. And, they're not as bad as that. But yeah, obviously they're not great. Right, gonna move it on, but thank you for the interaction. Keep going. We'll go back to it. I'm just gonna chat to some others here that have come in. Nathan Fitzpatrick, how you doing, Nathan? Sorry, I got to that one already, didn't I? And we will see Dublin, or we will see England in Dublin. Peter Moore says hi. How you doing, Peter? Hope you are well. And then he follows up and he says, Yes, they weren't good enough. That's it. They weren't. They weren't good enough, Peter. You're absolutely right. England were not good enough. Cahill done. Here we go, Cattle. Absolutely delighted. League of Ireland supporter myself. Happy Irish people don't want them to win, but it's very hypocritical when Irish people shout for an English team but want their national team to fail. Now, that's what I'm trying to get to, Cattle. And he continues. People do say supporting an English club is different from supporting the national team. I don't agree. Irish people's money spent on English clubs still goes to developing English youth players for the national team, says Cahill. See, that's what I don't understand either, Cahill. Now, when I lived in Ireland, yeah, it was always great crack when I think back to France 98, Euro 2000. No, actually, no, Euro 2000 was funny. That was funny. But then, when you kind of when you move over here and you kind of get to know the people a bit, and you kind of go, actually, no, you guys aren't that bad. But I do find it weird. Why is it, Irish fans that support the Premier League sides, the English Premier League, but cannot stand the national team? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, and that's what I'm trying to get to. You're a League of Ireland supporter, Carl, so I'll let you away with that. You're exempt from criticism. Shane Brown, no, to be honest, could never support England. Have had too many bad experiences. Was in Germany in 88, Wembley in 91, and my sister was in Lansdowne Road 95. Detest their arrogance. Okay. No, that's fair enough. Obviously, that was a different time. The troubles were going on. It was Thatcher's England, wasn't it? It was a very dark. Never went. I never went to. I never visited England during Thatcher's time. That was a very dark time, I'm sure. And obviously, 88 was. English teams were still banned for the behaviour. After Heysel in 85, Wembley 91, the Birmingham. But was it the Birmingham Six were at that game, Shane? I could be wrong now. And they got absolute dogs abuse at that. That was still going on. The troubles were still going on. Now I understand that. Time has moved on. Thankfully, time has moved on. But yeah, I totally understand. Like from that it's very easy for me to turn around and say, well, Shane, time's moved on, so you should feel better. I don't wish to negate your feelings on that. But that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, like, what are your experiences? What why is it? I'm not negating why you feel that way to anybody. I just want to get into the mindset. And thank you for that, Shane, for sharing that. And obviously, Lansdowne 95, the first time God Save the Queen was played in Lansdowne Road. It was under floodlights for the first time in Lansdowne Road. It was played for the first time since the 60s, I believe. And of course, we know what happened. Combat 18 went over and smashed the place up. Niall O'Sullivan, is it me, or apart from Rice, is this England team very likable? Yeah, I don't think they're I don't think they're terrible. I think they're okay. Bellingham does annoy me a little bit, but I do think he has the makings to be an absolutely tippy top player. Just probably tries to do too much. To be honest with you, but no, I think they're okay. It's not the golden generation nonsense that you had, the egos with Gerrard and Beckham and all these guys. I think they're okay. I think the relationship with the British press as well has helped, and that's another thing as well in Ireland. Here's a thought for you. Now I haven't got to all the comments yet, and we'll get to them. But here's a thought for you, like with I was having a chat later on or earlier on, and they were on about the media will be unbearable. I was like, right, but you live in Ireland. Just don't watch it. Just watch RTE. Watch Ronnie Whelan. Like I don't understand it. You live in Ireland. You don't live over in England. Just don't put yourself through it. By the way, Noel, this is for you. I did take a picture of this on my TV. Yes, that did make me sort of happy a little bit. Petty. Petty. Um, where are we? Glenn Forbes, him, he. How you doing, Glenn Forbes, him, he? Well, I do feel a little sorry for England. Also, karma for 700 years of oppression. Yeah. Well, that's the other side of it. And let's talk about that side of it, right? We're on about oppression and stuff. But do you remember during the last Euros, Glenn, where and James McLean, I think they played Denmark, didn't he? And people were going on about, yeah, Denmark. I hope they do it. I mean, sure, the Vikings slaughtered Ireland, like enslaved Ireland. Now I know that was years and years and years ago, but I remember thinking at the time when we got battered by Denmark that time 5-1 in the World Cup playoff, and they wore Viking hats in Dublin, and I thought, I like my history. And I thought, hold on, is that not a bit? That's a bit naughty, you know. Obviously, we're not going to be going up to Scandinavia with our repatriation tins, but still, I mean, if you want to go down the history element of it, I remember during the last Euros, people wanted Germany to win. We know the history there. But yeah, still, with that, would that make you not want to support England anymore? The whole history, the 700 years. Shane Brown, I have lots of English pals, and yes, we have lots in common, but there is a huge difference in behaviour when a few beers are on board. Then the patronising stuff comes out. I think, Shane, you need to get yourself some new friends. Yeah, no, I don't know with that one, Shane, because I remember I'd have friends over in London, and I think I remember a friend of mine saying that, the Irish the English look down on the Irish. And where I was working at the time, like all the top managers were all Irish, and I won't mention the place, but it was a very prominent venue in London, like really, really prominent venue in London, and like the top manager that was in charge of my department I was in is Irish, and the other, managers were all different. And I thought, no, I don't see that. I mean, I've had I've had the piss taken out of me, but I've given it right back. That is banter, as opposed to bullying. But yeah, if they start patronising me, and I tell them to fuck off. Bill over at Irish Football Blog. Dave, you're speaking far too much sense tonight. People won't like it. No, they probably won't. Probably disowned from my own WhatsApp group. not the writers one. Darren, how you doing, Darren? Next up is Ireland. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. By the way, what do you make of the new manager so far? We've had a few days to bed in. What do you think of the new Ireland manager? What do you think of the new Ireland manager? I like him. I like what I've seen so far. He's trying. He wants to implement a few out of the box. He wants to think outside of the box a little bit. Something I think we needed in this country. But what do you like? What do you make of him? Obviously, look, that the process wasn't great, and the way it's come about. And I'm not really having fully what Mark Hannon is saying, but this guy, I don't know. I'm. He was at the League of Ireland games. He's moving over to Ireland. He's only costing 650 grand a year, apparently, and supposed to get whopper bonuses if Ireland qualify for the World Cup. But sure, if he qualify for the World Cup, who cares? What do you what do you make of him? Tell us in the comments. Blue and gold about England win their next game easy enough, which is Ireland. I don't know. I mean, with this new guy, don't forget blue and gold. England might not have a manager. They might not have a manager for the next game. There could be a little bit of upheaval. Harry Kane might not be around for the next tournament. He's not getting any younger. And he did say it was a missed opportunity tonight. I was watching it on UTV, sorry. But yeah, they're going to struggle to replace him. Whatever you say about Harry Kane, I'll tell you what, I've met Harry Kane. He's a very nice chap. Very good, and I think he's class all the way. He's a quality player. Obviously, he's coming to the end of his career, but I think he got the Golden Shoe Award, didn't he, in Europe? Top goal scorer in Europe. I could be wrong on that one now. Brilliant player. Brilliant player. Jimmy Shell, how you doing, Jimmy? I had €100 in England from start for the squad they have. It's ridiculous. Don't follow Premiership, but follow Shelburne first and foremost. Fair enough. But don't get this rubbish of Irish fans following Premiership teams and then go against England. It's gone childish now. I mean, I'm not being funny, but you've got a player. Where is he? Who played in England, and whilst he was playing in England, he was doing this as well. I know he plays in Wales now, but when he was playing in England, he was doing the same thing. James McLean, I don't get it either. Is it the stigma? Is it? Is that the problem? Is it the stigma? Is it learned behavior? You know, that's what I want to know. Oh, don't get me wrong. I remember. I remember my grandfather. He spent a very long time over here. He was in World War II, and he loved England. He loved London, and he had a very good life here. And he had to go back to Dublin. And he didn't have the best of starts to life in Dublin. He was a Corkman, by the way. Funny enough, there you go, Bill, from Magazine Road. And I remember laughing at England. I think they went out. France '98. I think my granddad said to me, he goes to me, "Now remember, son, you might have to go to England one day to work. Don't be slagging off the English." And here I am. Although I didn't quite have to do it, but yeah, point taken. Colm O'Callagh. Bellingham is latest in a long line of overhyped English players who believe their own hype and drift into mediocrity. He's got an edge about him, Colm. I was very impressed from what I've seen of him. I haven't watched him enough, and I thought, wow, this guy's a player. Like against Serbia, I thought some of the stuff he was doing, and that lasted about 20 minutes. And I haven't been impressed since. The overhead, he is capable of brilliance, but I mean, he's just won a European Cup or a Champions League with Real Madrid. I think he's got ability. Like there was one there in the second half. Did you see it where he did the turn? It was a foul anyway, I think, or it was offside. He just turned around and he shot. He could do that, but he tries. He's got that in his locker, but he just tries to do too much. I think he's got a bit of an attitude about him. You got to have an attitude if you're a Maverick type player. You understand that, but there's something. Just the more I see of him, the less I like. Raymond McInerney, Kane is finished. You reckon Kane is finished? Yeah, I mean, he could be finished. We might not have him in the next squad or next game, which of course is Dublin. Just gonna circle back here. Going back to era equals R. We were having a bit of a chat, but I also want to make this as inclusive as possible. And this is what he had to say here. Era equals Ireland. Just going back to the conversation we're having. And thank you, by the way, for the conversation. And so far, thank you for the grown-up conversation, actually. And I mean that with everybody. As I said, I'm not making a statement. I'm not saying you should be doing. I would like to know. I really want to know. He continues. The players, minus Rice, are grand, but it was never them, in my opinion. Purely just the fans. Yeah, look, I mean, I worked for years, in Wembley. I've done a bit of bodyguard work at Wembley, and I've done like other bits security-led teams, security teams, response teams. So when it kicks off, we have to go in and sort stuff out. England, I never had an issue with. It was the club games that were the worst. Like Arsenal were always good. Tottenham, no. Arsenal fans were always fine. Chelsea, no. United, Liverpool, City, Christ, no. But I always thought English fans were okay. Funny enough, yeah. Here's a true story for you out there. I was actually Peter Shilton's bodyguard, and I was chatting away to him. And nice guy. He was actually. I know he's got a bit of a reputation of being a bit of an arsehole. He was actually nice to me. True story. Don't know if I ever shared it on the podcast before, but yeah, they had a fan zone up at Wembley. And if you ever go to the new Wembley, it's up on a height and you're in the middle of nowhere and it's a wind trap. And they were trying to do this fan zone, like this American kind of thing. And, the Brits just don't do it really very well. You don't do it well in Ireland either. And it was shit. It was wet. It was rainy. And we had to get him from the stadium through the crowd to do his interview and then get him down from that and then basically walking him back into the stadium and then go back. That was Portugal a few years ago. And I remember then there was this lad from Burnley. And actually, this feeds into your point, but I think you get this in most games. And this lad from Burnley was trying to to get into the Portuguese section, and we were on it's called the segregation line. True story. This, it's called the segregation line, and he got under the tarping and he ran into the ultra section with this flag of Burnley, no front, no teeth, like it was. And I could see why. And I remember I just looked up and I was like, "Fuck, get him!" And we got him. I remember dragged him out. So what the fuck are you doing? And then this ultra guy like wanted to kill him, had to hold him back. Oh, it was mad. I do kind of miss those days. Going back to that anyway, era equals Iron. I think he's brilliant. Shown he cares for the culture, the grassroots, and wants to plan for the future. That's about the current manager. That's about yes. I think he's what we need. I think he's what we need. And I will say, my initial reaction was, "Oh God, that's desperate." But then that was the initial reaction. And I think you can't really go off someone's initial reaction. I think you have to stop, breathe, and have a think about it. And I agree. I've watched Madrid all season. Bellingham has been extraordinary. I think this revision of Bellingham getting I mean, he's been excellent for Madrid. I haven't been impressed by him for England, but he does like the overhead kick. He has magic. It's brutally unfair and a complete deviation from reality about Bellingham. And we finished there. Thank you for the stream and interactions. It's been great. Thank you very much, Era Equals Ireland. And thank you guys out there we're still going, by the way, for the mature conversation so far. Adam T, how you doing, Adam? I'm just glad we don't have to give him a guard of honor September. Could you imagine? I don't think we had to, did he? Is that a thing? Is that something we have to do? This is Guinness Zero, by the way. If you're watching me for the first time, yeah. Deaglin, I don't think he's watching. My friend, he got me this. It's a Guinness Zero glass, and I do. If you're watching Deaglin, I do cherish it, and thank you so much for that. And when I do have a Guinness Zero, I don't have much of it. I do like to have a little tipple of it because I can't drink the real stuff, unfortunately. Raven McInerney, rice, baby. Yeah, we can laugh, can't we? We can laugh. Here's a funny story for you, Raymond. Right? I'm coming out with the stories because I'm on my own, you see. So I'm trying to make it as entertaining as possible. And if you like this, and we could do the odd little sort of off the cuff lives where we go out and chat with you guys just on my own or whatever. Let me know if you like it. I'll do more. If you don't like it, I won't do them anymore. Just trying something different. True story about Declan Rice. I was working at a very famous a restaurant in a very famous shop, shall we say, a few years ago, and I just saw this guy popped out and he asked me where he had to get his car out of the car park. He goes to me, "Oh yeah, would you?" He asks me the question, and and as he's asked me the question, he's standing there, this guy, and then all of a sudden, who steps out but Declan Rice? And this was after the whole debacle. And I just turned and looked at him like that, and I thought, I better keep my job here. And I remember I just said, like in a thickest Dublin accent. Like now, I don't have a strong Dublin accent. I have been here for 13 years, but in the thickest Dublin accent, I went, "Yeah, you just go down there. You go around the corner, and you go, and the look on his face. It felt like saying, "Yeah, you just go down the stairs, around the corner, go back to the clothes shop where you stole those 3 caps from." And then go, but I didn't. I was professional, but I did put on a very strong Irish accent, and he looked awkward. It was really funny. But that's a true story. Me and Deckers. Bear Shield says, "Bro is better player. Fried rice." Ooh. Shit jokes are coming out tonight, chaps. Shane Brown, delighted with the appointment of our manager. Have seen what he's done with a shit show. Jamaica, no Leon Bailey. Seems a real nice way about him from a man management, and he definitely improved Jamaica. That's the thing. When the announcement was made and sheer panic was taking over at first. And one of the groups I'm in, the writers group, by the way. And if you want to see what these guys have to say, they know their stuff. They do know their stuff. Head over to lansdowneroar.ie, lansdowneroar.ie. and they were actually like, I call them the nerds, because Dunphy called, when he was talking about Rice and Saka or whoever in midfield, or Trent Alexander-Arnold. He says the nerds call it a two-man pivot. I was like, okay. So the nerds, and they were like, no, this guy's good. Jamaica was a shit show. He is, this guy's a good manager, and he did well with Iceland. He was co-manager in 2016 with Lars Lagerbäck. Then he went to take over Norway. I know this because James Agnew, who also writes in the group on the website, was brilliant. And he sent me over a list of all his achievements and stuff. But when Lars left in 2016, that was the team that knocked out England. He was co-manager, but for the 2018 World Cup, he got Iceland to the first ever World Cup. And I dare say that Ireland will probably have better players than Iceland. There's some good players there. Okay, it's hardly stuff under Jack or even Mick, but there's some good players there, and I think we can play some decent football. It's going to be tight. It's going to be hard to beat, but I think he's really going to do the job for us there. Stephen Ring, didn't realize you were live. Is Martin out drowning his sorrows? He probably is, yeah. Thalheimer has said all the right things so far, but Canham has gone down even lower than he was already. It was after that press conference, Lee Carsley to replace Southgate or for September. Oh, Stephen, yes. Yeah, maybe. Do you think, though? I don't know. Actually, I don't know, because look, Southgate took the team at a very low ebb, although Sam Allardyce did have 1-1, 100% record for England. And he took him on a low ebb. I think it was after Euro 2016, wasn't it, when Roy Hodgson stood down? Not a decent chap, actually, Roy. I met him as well. And it was at a low ebb, and, the team went through a transition, brought some young players, and it kind of galvanized the team. But I think now with players, I think that team's outgrown Southgate. I know he got them to a final, and I know if you're looking on the outside in, that looks ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous what I'm saying. But if you look at the path, they had the easiest path, and they jammed their way to the final. And that's the thing with cup football. They were playing like a championship side in the FA Cup, and he got to the final and kind of finally got undone by the best team he went up against. And you know what, right? When England started attacking Spain, when he put it up to them, and he said, right, 2-1 down, we got 5 minutes left, Spain came asunder. And you think, why didn't you do that from the beginning? But that's why I think Southgate will have to go. I don't think they'll give it to Carsley. It could happen. I don't think they will, because I think they need a big coach who's dealt with tippy top players. Now he has, and I know he had them at a younger age. Some of these lads at a younger age, I don't know a great deal about the English youth setup. Not going to try and pull the wool over your eyes. We don't do that here. I'll hold my hands up. But if he did have some of these guys, he had them on a stage, not when they were superstars, not when he made it. So it's a different ball game. Brian Kerr. Anyway, blue and gold. First mistake the new manager will make is capping League of Ireland players. League is poor. Look at the Derry game in Europe last week. Yeah, it was a Gibraltar team, wasn't it? He lost to... no, I don't think that's what he's trying to do, though. I think he's trying to get... Is it camps? Did I read that correctly? It was a bit of a mad day, folks. I do apologise. I wasn't as active as I would have liked. Was it camps, was it? He's looking to set up some League of Ireland camps and getting them integrated with the Irish players, and, see what he can get from it. Is that what it is? Please, someone out there, educate me. Manny Dabia. Kane is too good for the current England players. He proves every year that he can score goals. Foden should not have played in the starting lineup after the group stages. He is a fabulous player, Phil Foden, but yes, he didn't. I think it just didn't work out from this time around, did it? He just seemed, the whole team just seemed inhibited. Like, if you're, he's one of City's best players, and he just looked like he's rocking around with the weight of the world on his shoulders. He looked like he had shackles on. Up the fucking rasses, UT Darren. Tell us what you really think. Here's one as well. Speaking of that, actually, what did you make of RTE put on Bloody Sunday, documentary Bloody Sunday 1920, because I think it's been 3 Bloody Sundays, hasn't there? There was that one. There was the one obviously in Derry, and if you count the one in Enniskillen as well, the Remembrance Day in 1987. But they put before England's live final today, they had a Bloody Sunday documentary. Do you reckon that was on purpose? I don't know. What do you reckon? We put it up on Facebook, and I got a fair bit of welly on that. I don't know. Those things are normally done weeks in advance, aren't they? But then you could always just change it. Just need an hour program. Another one as well. What did you make of Damien Duff? Damien Duff said he wanted Abbottstown razed to the ground. He said 90% of the staff should be sacked. And he said that Abbottstown was one of the most uninspiring places to work, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, although I think that was pretty much on the money of what he said. But then he had to come out and apologise. And that's his apology. And he says, do you know what? I probably should have got a better. Hold on, I can barely read that myself. This is what he had to say. I am writing this letter to you all to say that I'm deeply sorry for my comments in the media on Wednesday, the 10th of July, when I mentioned sacking 90% of the FEI staff. I knew it was wrong when I said it, and it is all I have thought about since. You're all working hard for the benefit of Irish football, trying to pay bills, support families, and pay mortgages. And frankly, it was a ridiculous comment. It was deeply disrespectful to you all. And you all have every right. It was very disrespectful to you all, and you all have every right to be disappointed and angry with me. I love Irish football. I love the league. I will always continue to fight for them both, but my words helped neither. My emotion and fight for the game came out very poorly, and I regret it. What did you make of that? What did you make of his comments? What did you make of his apology there? I thought his comments were bang out of order. I think Duff, bit of a mouthpiece. That's my opinion. I've no skin in the game really with the League of Ireland. Well, I mean, Pats, I suppose, when he used to live in Dublin, but so there's no tribalism there. I just think he's a bit of a mouthpiece. I just think he comes out with unhelpful comments. I mean, you might go, yeah, you tell him, Duffer. But what does it really help? Like, you've got people in the FEI who do have mortgages, who do have families to feed, and he's saying, oh, yeah, just sack him. I mean, it's a bit irresponsible, isn't it? I mean, he's apologised for it, but did he apologise because he means it and he regrets it? Or is he apologising because Shelburne could have been sanctioned? Probably still should be sanctioned when you're coming out and asking for a building to be razed to the fucking ground. Anyway, David on YouTube. I think people forget that England is our rivals and it's okay to not support them. And in my opinion, supporting a Premier League club is vastly different than the English national team. So that's the thing, David, right? I heard about that. But what rivalry? May I ask, respectfully, what rivalry? Where's the rivalry? I think it's a one-way rivalry. I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm not saying to be controversial, but it's a one-way rivalry. We want to beat England, and I don't give a fuck about us. And I'm not saying it to be disparaging. They don't. Most of them couldn't point it out on a map. Like the amount of people that when I came over here first, where are you from? I'm from Dublin. Oh, is that Northern Ireland? No. And yet when I went over to England, like most of us do in Ireland, I knew a lot about England. I knew the geography of the country, the politics of the country. And yet they wouldn't know what, they wouldn't know what Taoiseach means. They wouldn't know the name of our house, of our version, our government building, our Houses of Parliament, good old Dáil Éireann. They wouldn't know anything like that. I don't think they really care. And I think it's just a one-way rivalry. And I heard that today. Oh, football's about rivalry. Yeah, but what rivalry? If you're an Irish person and you've no skin in the game with England v Spain, right? Unless you're half Spanish or, you've got a bet on Spain. It's not really a rivalry, is it? Because Ireland aren't playing in the match. You just want to see England lose. It's not really a rivalry. And I think a rivalry, you have to be somewhere, there has to be, maybe it's unfair to say that, you need to be there has to be some sort of parity between the two be really rivalry like Man City and Liverpool, or Man United and Arsenal, and so forth. So yeah, I just think it's an interesting one. What do you think about that? Do you agree with what I'm saying? I'm talking through my arse again, as I always do. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Gonna be around here for mm, another few minutes. Another few minutes. Sebastian Knowlton, how you doing? The news gets worse for England as now they have to find a new manager. Sorry, Lions. Heimer is no longer available. Good man. Yeah, Heimer Helgrimson. Definitely saying the right things there. I do like this guy. Raymond McInerney. Kane go to the NFL now as a kicker. Who did I? Was that a thing in the overlap? About Kane that he could play as a kicker. Or am I imagining things? I'm probably imagining things. Someone said about him. Oh yeah, the guy that owns Burnley is an NFL player. Anyway, yeah, no, thank you. That's the right one. Yes, I've lots of those, Raymond. Lots of those. When I'm completely out of the security industry, I will tell a lot more. I just haven't worked in football for years. 2021 actually. Jay on Twitter. Do you think Heimer will get Anselmo McNulty to declare for Ireland? I think if he's good enough, yes. I think he wants to play for Ireland. If he's good enough to play for Ireland, yeah, definitely. I think he's a granny ruler, isn't he? The manager, Heimer, he likes the granny rule. He did it with Jamaica, turn it up to 11. I don't think Iceland have. I could be wrong, unless it's with Denmark. As I know, they were under Danish rule, weren't they, till the 40s? Don't think they have many granny rulers as such. Where obviously Jamaica, have a huge diaspora, like all around the world, like ourselves. We do have an affinity with Jamaica, Ireland. Just sounds like their accent sounds very similar. But I think if he's good enough, yeah, he absolutely will. He will go after the granny rulers. He definitely will. And what I like about this guy, he's a clear communicator. Do I still have it here? He loves when a plan comes together. Hold on, let me just take the comments off there. He loves it when a plan comes together. He does remind me of John Hannibal Smith, George Shepard version of it anyway. And yeah, I've liked what I've seen of him so far. Let me get back to the comments. Bert Shields. Bert, how you doing? So is it a clean slate now for all players and young untried players with our new gaffer? Yeah, I think so. I think so. He'll obviously watch back some of the games there. You have to. We said it here on the podcast for a long time. Martin definitely said it. To be fair, I got to credit Martin. He said that. Maybe Stephen Kenny won't benefit from these minutes from these players. He won't fulfill. He won't receive the full potential of these players. It'll be the next manager that will, and he has. And I think history will look kindly on Stephen Kenny. Look, we know the job is too big for him on so many levels, but at the end of the day, Heimer goes in with some good young players, some technically very solid players, and I think we're literally about 2 or 3 cute players from having a really good side that can qualify for tournaments and compete. Not saying we're going to win anything, but look at Sammy Smolik. Should have been in a team ages ago. He's already improved the dynamic up front. You play him in his right position in a number 10 role, that boy can play. He links up the play. He's that little bit, that little nut, that little bolt that was missing. We need some wing backs. If he wants to play wing back system, our last 2 managers decided I was always playing wing back system with no wing backs. We need a central midfielder. We need somebody to link the play in midfield. And I think we got something there. The goalkeepers are good. The central defense is good. The fullbacks, a little bit ropey. Like to see Festy get more of a chance. Maybe, what's his name? A lot of places, Southampton. He used to play with Swansea. Name escapes me. Yeah, I think, and he's going to look to add to that, and I think he will. I think he will go after more granny rules. He'll make more of an effort. He'll go onto. He'll be more comfortable with the continent. He's not from the continent, obviously, but he'll be more comfortable, I think, going down that side of things as opposed to just England. I thought Kenny did that a lot, didn't he? He just seemed to only go with players that were in England. You know, when Josh Cullen was doing really well at Anderlecht, he never really got a look in. It was always Conor Hourihane. And Conor Hourihane hadn't played for like 10 games, and Josh Cullen was playing week in, week out for Anderlecht, and he still wasn't getting a look in. Also, Troy Parrott, £8 million. AZ Alkmaar finished fourth in the Eredivisie last season. Brilliant, brilliant move for him. Don't underestimate that. That's fantastic. If he bangs in the goals for them, you know, he could be playing Champions League football in a couple of years' time. Brilliant stuff. Stephen Ring, is a big name manager going to do any different? England. Capello was a huge name and didn't do anything. I think Carsey didn't take the Ireland job because he knows he's next in line for England. He's well thought of at the FA. Majority of Ireland fans wanted a big name for the Ireland job, and Heimer isn't a big name. No, but Helgrimsson is. But since his announcement, majority of fans are happy with him. To answer your first question, I think it is just one question. The rest is a statement, and you make some very valid points, Stephen, as always. Probably not, to be fair, with England. See, the problem England have, right, even with Spain, they have a style of football. England doesn't have a style of football. You know, the Premier League, you look at the top three managers, Spain, German, playing all different types of football with different styles of football with players from all over the world. Spain have a style of football. You know, from the academies, they will play the one style. So when it comes to international football, they will go back to that style: passing, pass and move, pass and move. And that's why English teams have always looked disjointed. You know, you've never seen like a real clinical. You've seen them power past, you know, the lesser teams and power past. You know, they beat Germany. I think to beat Germany in that stadium, I think 3-2 a few years ago, 8 years ago. You know, you've seen them do that, but you've never seen them sort of like clinically, you know, play like a clinical style of football, pass and move, because they can't do it because they don't have a style. It's been a problem. Like in Ireland, we don't have a style because we don't have a fully functioning league just yet. We have the makings of one, but I think that's just a major problem. So that's very difficult. You get someone like Pep Guardiola in, it is international football, and you know he only gets them off for a few weeks of the year. What's he going to do? It took Guardiola a full season to get the grips of the Premier League. Not the Premier League, sorry, to get the grips with what he had to work with in the Premier League. And then once he got the grips of it, but that took training and that took time. You don't have that in international football, so it's a really tough one. So maybe Carsley, maybe I'm going to go back on what I was saying, Stephen. Maybe Carsley could be the man to take that next step, actually, to galvanise that squad. Because I don't think a big name manager would do it. In fact, I've actually talked myself out of my own point. Thank you. And yes, I think most Irish fans are happy with Heimer. Shane Brown, RE manager's plan was to have off. Thank you for this, but this is why I love the Roar Faithful, because you educate me, and thank you so much. Shane Brown, RE manager's plan was to have off official FIFA window cycle international games where he could use the opportunity to trial League of Ireland or fringe players against other countries looking to do same. Oh, so unsanctioned games, but have a little blend in there. Why not? Other countries do it. He did it with Jamaica. Other countries do this. Why not? Why not? See, you might get a League of Ireland player that you know could do a job for you in a game. Like I thought Jack Byrne, when even when he was playing for Shamrock Rovers under Kenny, he never looked out of sorts. In the games he played in the Nations League, he never looked out of sorts. I thought he could have done a job for us. I'm not saying you play him against England, but like the kind of mid, you know, just a technically solid player, you know, which might make those so-called smaller games, the minnow games, so-called smoother, because you have somebody who can play at that level, who's a bit more technical on the ball, might give you something. You know, why not? Thank you, Shane. Love the Roar faithfully. You're always looking after us. Stephen Ring, another video after coming out of English fans in the stands hopping heads off each other. Oh Jesus. Well, yeah. It's what they do, isn't it? I was outside Wembley, so was Martin. We're gonna have to do a pod on that. We had different experiences. I was working outside and there was still COVID restrictions, and Martin was inside. He brought his son with him, which must have been absolutely horrendous for his son to see that, because that was scary. To see that, like, a scary, like, you're in a situation, you go into an event with your dad, and you always look to your dad, don't you? Um, I didn't know my dad growing up, but I'd imagine you go to an event with your dad, and your dad you look to your dad for everything, or whoever the adult, your mom, your dad, and you always think, "Ah, they're in control." And you go to a situation, you go to a game like that, and your dad or your parent has no control, and that must be terrifying for a kid to have all these idiots running around. But yeah, I was there. I was outside in 2021, and yeah, it was absolute carnage. Well, we will talk about that one day. David on YouTube. There's probably a one-way rivalry, but people still despise the English with events like '95, England versus Ireland football times. Yeah, that's a different generation. That's 30 years ago. Like, I went to the game in 2011. Was it 2011 or 2013? 2013, wasn't it? The 1-1 draw. Shane Long put us in the lead, and then Lampard scored. And I was in the England section because I lived in England. I couldn't get Ireland tickets. I didn't know Martin at the time. He would have sorted me out. But anyway, and yeah, I didn't feel threatened in any way. It was the first game, wasn't it, since that match in '95. I know people look at that, and maybe I don't help it by sharing the video every February, but it happened. It's history. We have. It's very important we remember history, but that's a different generation. It was a different time. Like, I was actually talking to somebody at work, right, a young lad. It's a true story. All my stories are true. And I was talking to him about the IRA. I mentioned the IRA, and it was a conversation about work, to be fair. And goes, "Who's that?" He's something like 20. I said, "The IRA? You've never heard of the IRA?" I went, "No." Oh, wow. And I thought, one hand I was like, "You ignorant bastard," but another hand I thought, "That's great. That's fantastic. Like, here you are, a young adult, and you've never heard of the IRA. That makes things a lot easier." My dad, when he lived in England, when he was living over here, he has since passed, unfortunately. He was a bricklayer, and then he became a site manager for a company. And he sees people before, um, you know, he'd go to work. I was like, "All right," won't mention his name. Chatting away with them, and then he'd go home, put on the news, and there was because during the '90s there was always a bomb or something, with the IRA. It either went off expectedly, or they couldn't stop it, or they stopped it with minutes to spare, or it didn't go off. It was every day. And then when you see that, you go into work the next day, and the same people, you go, "All right, lads," you go, "Fuck off, you Fenian bastard," and all this. And my dad, being my dad, would go, "All right, can we have a word about it outside?" And of course, he'd hit your man, and you know. But that was a different. Oh, that was a different time. That was a totally different era, and we've moved on from that. Stephen Ring again. We see it as a rivalry. We're pretty sure England will see Germany or France as their rivals. There was a Six Nations ad a few years ago where loads of fans were asked who they wanted to beat the most. Ireland, Wales, Scotland, France, all said England. The English fans were like, "I don't know, France, maybe." Yeah, I mean, yet again, Stephen, the rugby crowd is a bit different. It's a bit of a different crowd as well, as that's definitely more friendly. There's no issues there. And I've been to England, Ireland rugby matches. I've worked at them, and they're an absolute, get a bit rowdy and drunk, but they're absolutely fine. But yeah, I think I think out of that, I mean, Scotland is definitely right. We just definitely don't like each other. But yeah, I think France. Shane Brown. And side note, give the Corona Zero a try on a summer's day. Slice of lime, not bad though. Summers might do. Heineken Zero is not bad, actually. Thank you for that, Shane. Seed Ring, Anselmos. Am I butchering that? Mam is Irish and spent summers in Ireland with the Ireland under 21s So if he is good enough, I don't see why not. Connor Noss could be another one. 100%. Shane Brown. David, give the Chrono Zero a try. Oh, that's repeat itself there. No, producer. It is just me. Stephen Ring. I will die on the hill that Kenny was the right man at the wrong time. Maybe. Maybe we won't get that started. Is Dave McGuinness watching, is he? He won't be happy. Stephen Ring. Joe Hodge could be the one that comes into midfield. Yes. Yes, he could. We did with just a couple. Some of these lads are just on the cusp of just making it into the first team of clubs and coming into Ireland, and I think will come at the right time, because those young lads that came into the team under Kenny will then be experienced internationals, and you'll have that lovely. So instead of having that disparity of really young players and really old players, and having nobody as if in north of 30, and having those players in the kind of sweet spot, which is the mid to sort of late 20s, which is what I think O'Neill did tremendous damage to the Ireland team, because you never had that with him. You just had the older players, and he should have brought Doherty in. I know, look, he's come on a lot of fire, but he should have brought players like him in much sooner. And so when Kenny came in, he had players that were either teenagers or north of 30. And now I think Heimer will have players in their mid 20s who are the really young players, and then he's going to have some really young players coming in, and it's going to be a nice blend. Shane Brown, yet again, educating me and has my back. Ryan Manning is the name escaping me. Thank you very much, Shane Brown. See, the Roar faithful, I do love you. You're so good to me and us. Jimmy Shell, do you think it was? Do you think it was the new Irish manager's own choice to go to Shells on both games this week, or after last few months of crap FAI? Was it PR? I think a bit of both. He's looking for a house. He is looking to move here to Ireland. That was probably putting off some of the managers. That maybe have turned it down. If they did, apparently, there was rumors that they did. Some of the managers turned it down, but yeah, I think it's a bit of both. He probably wanted to have a look, and there probably is a mantra there for the FAI, and yeah, I think it's maybe. But I could also see him. He seems like the kind of guy that'd want to go out and get a feel for the place, get a feel for football fans in the country as well. And yeah, so probably a bit of both. Mutually beneficial. Raymond McInerney did say to Tom Brady, great reel though. Harry Kane, Tom Brady. There we go. Gavin Byrne, what about the fact that if you follow an English team, say Liverpool, then watching Premier League every week, you want Pickford to do bad, Stones, Foden, Walker, Manu, and Saka, Rice, even worse? I get what you mean. Yeah. I mean, English fans do that as well, don't they? Like a Liverpool fan. Like if you're an English fan, which is always funny because they would always throw that at us, and they would always say, "Oh, why do you support us? You support the players playing for the clubs. When you play for England, you hate them." And I remember said to somebody, "Well, it's the same for you. You love Harry. You're an Arsenal fan. You love Harry Kane for England, but you hate him for Tottenham. Like you'll show God knows what abuse at him." I think it's just the everything you want to pick for too bad. I think it's just the overall nature of it. Like if you got Spain and England in the final, what have you got in common with Spain? Unless you're, Asamo McNulty. I am probably butchering his first name. He was born in Spain to Irish parents. He's going to play for Ireland, but like that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like if he was, you got skin in the game. But I just don't understand if you're Irish, do you have to hate England if you're Irish? I think that's the point I'm trying to make about it. If you're Irish, do you just have to automatically hate England? Is that, can you be Irish and go, do you know what? I'd like to see England do well because I know the players, I'm familiar with the players, I watch the league in, week out. Now, when it comes to Ireland, obviously, but Ireland aren't in the tournament. If you're Irish, do you just have to hate England? Is that the default button? Is that the smash the glass kind of default setting? Is that what it is? Or can you be Irish and go, yeah, no, I like the England team, I like I mean, if it's the paucity of their play, then that I understand as well. That's a footballing argument. No, I don't like they play boring football, whatever. I mean, it's like me with the Dutch. When I used to love the Dutch, we actually do have Dutch blood somewhere down the line. But I used to, and the Dutch knocked us out of Euro '88. They knocked us out of USA '94. They knocked us out of Euro '96 when I never got to beat us in the playoff. And they were just this pain in the arse. But I admired how he played. I should have hated him, but I loved how he played because they had great players at the time. You remember the teams in the 90s and 80s? These were great players. So I could understand the football argument. I suppose what I'm saying is it if you're Irish, do you just automatically, is that the default setting you have to hate England, the England football team? And to be fair, and yet again, I'm disproving my own fact, and that's what I want to have a grown-up conversation about it. That's not in a WhatsApp group. You know, when's the last England team that played good football? You know, you probably have to go back to the 90s for that, to be honest. Breno, probably 2004. The Euros 2004, Wayne when he was in his pomp, when he was an Everton player. Bren OD, how you doing, Bren? Premier League teams are made up of international players, small countries. No problem there. Irish people cannot support England national team. Why? But when I supported Liverpool in the late 80s, this actually might be another bad example, but I supported Liverpool because my grandfather was a Tottenham fan and his two sons were Tottenham fans. I supported Liverpool because half the Irish team played for Liverpool, who were English born. Some of them, Lawrenson. I don't quite remember. Ronnie Whelan, actually, no. Aldridge, Houghton, Scottish born. You know, some fantastic players. And I think when people were supporting Man United in the 90s, they had English players. Steve Bruce, Brian Robson, Gary Pallister. So the Premier League being an international league, which it is now, and I do accept your point. I do accept that point. Now it's an international league, and I just pointed out the three managers. There's no style. They don't have their own style anymore because it's all international managers and international players. But for a long period, the first few years of the Premier League, it was very English based, and there'd be a lot of people now supporting those teams when they were very English based. Stephen Ring, you and Martin were saying the last live show that if Heimer leaves after the 18-month contract, are we back to square one? I wouldn't be against Jim Crawford getting a look in, especially the under 21s end up qualifying for next year. 2 points behind Italy with a game in hand. Had it awkward the end of last year when players were being called up to the senior team and not used, but still got results. Yes, Andy Moran. Have I got the right name there? I'm sure somebody will correct me if I don't. Andy Moran, he was the captain, and he was taken for the game in Amsterdam. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. In Amsterdam, he never got a look in, and he would have been the captain, and it was like crazy. So I do agree there. Look, if Jim Crawford is good enough, then he's good enough, and if we have, you know, a setup there there's continuity now, and this guy's going to lead this. The coach set up the coaching team, and then you have somebody, let's say John O'Shea. You know, you need to have. If you find a great coaching, it's actually a very old principle. It's actually a very old practice in football. The Liverpool way, for example, the Anfield way, was Bill Shankly, right hand man, Bob Paisley. Shankly took the club as far as he could. Paisley took over, took it to a whole other level. Then his assistant Joe Fagan came in, and then a bit of a curveball because then Kenny Dalglish came in, but he was in the club. He was captain. He was a player manager. So that continuity was always there. So you'd ideally want somebody like a John O'Shea maybe to learn from the manager. You know, you'd like to think, you'd hope that, you hope Heimer gets a contract extension. And he's ideally around for 4 to 5 years. Because if he's got a contract extension, that means he's obviously doing a good job. You'd hope. And then when he kind of goes and goes, you know what, it's been great, but I want to go back home to Iceland, whatever. If he's in for 10 years, fantastic. It means he's done a jack and he's qualified for loads of tournaments. Then you want the next guy who's part of that team to step in. And there is that continuity. I think continuity is so important when it comes to international management. I think, because you don't have the players for long periods of time. You have to just keep it simple, and that's where teams like Spain have the edge because they can go back to the very fundamentals of what they're taught in Spain. The Spanish style of football is the ball is your friend, and they'll just pass and pass and pass and pass and pass, and maybe a little bit of brilliance, like the 16-year-old lad that scored an absolute wonder goal against France. You can hold on to the ball better, but the English lads can't because they don't have a DNA. They don't have a style of football in England because it's made the Premier League great. It really has. It's made the Premier League brilliant, but it has been for a long time at the cost of the national side. Peter Moran, when's the next Nations League? That would be it's every 2 years, is it? 2026? No, 2025, is it? Would it be? Oh, I don't know. Somebody has that. Sorry, Peter. Someone out there for Peter, if you could answer that question, if you know, someone out there in the raw faithful knows. You guys are a lot smarter than me, and I think you're the same. Yes, you are the same when you say hi as well. How you doing, Peter? Thank you for the question. If someone's out there watching, before we go, if you could answer that one, I don't have a production. I don't have a production team. It's just me, McGinnis Zero, my little rabbit, my little three-legged rabbit over there. Should Heimer not just make an Ireland B team for the League of Ireland lads? That's something they used to do. I think the last Ireland B team was 2008. It was against Nottingham Forest. It was in Delimo Park. I used to live next to Delimo Park, actually, Cabra Park. And I could literally see the lights from my room. Which is always weird when I was watching a game on RTE when they'd show a League of Ireland match and what's going on. And that was the last Ireland B team. So maybe it will be something along those lines. Maybe sort of like a gentrified version of it, so to speak. Peter Moran, when is the next Euros? 2030 is the next Euros, Peter. That is going to be held in the England, Scotland. Well, it's supposed to be the UK and Republic of Ireland, including Northern Ireland or the Six County, whatever you want to call it. But they can't get their act together. But it's going to be held in the UK and Ireland, but maybe minus Northern Ireland because they can't build Casement Park. I think Sinn Féin are trying to get behind it. I saw a thing there that was shared. Don't think it's going to happen. But you never know. You know what they're like up there. They can't get anything sorted. They can't agree. Peter Morris says, "Well, look, we're not winning anything anytime soon." Well, just need to qualify first, Peter. Stephen Ring, I was supporting Spain because I was cheering on our fellow EU brethren. Oh, you're playing that one now, are you? Okay. Yeah. Isabella Duffy, you stupid shit. It's not only the Irish that didn't want England to win, it was all of Europe, you dickhead. Oh, Isabella. Thank you for your comments. It was all of Europe. Okay. Gibraltar as well? Did Gibraltar want? Oh, brilliant. Stephen Ring, there are a couple of very likable players in that England squad, but for me, the media and ex-pros that are the head wreckers. One English paper had a poll up before both semi-finals asking who would fans prefer to play in the final, Spain or France, forgetting they had to still play the Netherlands. Is that arrogance though, or is that just, if we get to the final? I to be fair, I'll bow to your knowledge on that one because I don't really read the newspapers anymore. I kind of flick on Sky News to see what's got because I'm a big fan of politics. Not a fan of it, but I'm fascinated by it because it's mental. So I kind of look at Sky News, and see what's going on in the world a little bit, or BBC, just trying to have a look at that. So I don't really look at the media. So I'll bow to your knowledge in that one, Stephen. Bert Shields, how you doing, Bert? Player for us to look or just ask Owen Coyle. He took him to India last. He took him to India last season with Chennai players. Last year has got Irish grandmother. Just a thought. Connor Shields, excellent trainee. 21 and a half at Motherwell. Good scoring and assist record. Okay, it's my nephew. There you go. Here we are. Just have a Google. Look, come on, the Bray Wanderers. Oh, okay, we will. Connor Shields, folks. Have a look at him. Raw faithful. Isabella, if you're watching as well, darling, you have a look at Connor Shields as well. Gavin Byrne, England should have been the best team to watch at the Euros. Great attack and not great defense. Their game should have been 4-2, 4-3 wins. Instead, they were very hard to watch. That's a fair point. Their attacking options were frightening. But with Southgate, it's probably why he has to go. He just had them playing with fear. And when they pressed that Spanish team, they couldn't defend. And if you sit back off a passing side, they will pass you to death. And then you're going to be relying on last ditch tackles. But when you put it up to them, which is what used to make us a phenomenal side in the 80s and 90s, you put it up to them and you play the game in there around their box, you panic them. And they had the ability to really hurt them. And I agree. But they were just playing with fear all the time. Jimmy Shell, Sandy Moore and Blackburn Rovers. There we go. Was having a decent time at the under-21s at that stage. He was going to be captain. If I remember. Stephen Ring, was Andy Moore and Sinclair was called up in the Aviva but pretty sure he still travelled next day to play for the under-21s in Cork. Could be mistaken on that one. Breno D. David, I think you're a long time in England. Probably lost your mind by now. Did I have it? 13 years. Didn't have a great start, but do enjoy it. Made some great friends, some very good people, some really, really fabulous people over here. English, by the way. But no, I love England. I do. But it can be a very tough place, London. But I recommend anyone to live in London, even if you don't want to raise kids here. I could totally understand that. I recommend anybody to live in London for a few years and then go back to Ireland or whatever, if that's what you want to do. It's a great place. David, was the appointment of Heimer on the anniversary of Jack Charlton's death on purpose or just by chance? And you got that wrong as well, didn't it? He said it was the 3rd year anniversary. It was the 4th year anniversary. I reckon by chance, David, to be honest with you. People were trying to say that they were trying to deflect. Sorry, they weren't trying to say they were at. The question was asked, in the last live, were they trying to deflect from the abuse scandal that's about to hit? Like the allegations come out, and I imagine there's gonna be more on that as well. And absolutely, as sympathies go to the victims of that. But I don't think they were trying to deflect from that. They overshadowed the Irish women's team against, the game against England. I think it was just panic. That's my opinion. Genuine opinion, David. I think it was just panic. I don't think there was anything nefarious. It was just, shit, we better get this out. Oh my God. Look, we told you we get a manager because, we were racking up the day, 231 days, and then we're like, right, here you go. 231 days without a manager. So I think it was just by chance, David, if I'm being perfectly honest. Jimmy Shell, is England match not Nations League match? Yes, it is. And it's competitive. Stephen Ring, get what you're saying about consistent managers in international football. I didn't know the Spain manager before the term, but he's managed the Spain's on the 19s, 21s, 23s, and now senior consecutively. Did not know that. Stephen, thank you very much for telling me. Yeah, and absolutely. If you have, fair enough. Going back a little bit, my point as well. But if you like, I think the under 21s is supposed to take over from the senior manager. That's the ideal route, isn't it? So yeah, if Jim Crawford's good enough, he's good enough, and I wouldn't have an issue with that. Shane Brown, I'm off now to watch Colombia beat Argentina. Spoiled today, but thanks for the show and all you do keeping us expats in the loop on all things Irish football. Viva España. And Breno D, last comment goes, Brana D. Going to watch Argentina. Thanks for the chat. And thank you for the chat, folks. Been, wow, 1 hour, 20 minutes. Stayed on a little longer than I intended to. This is, if you're new to the show, Isabella, if you're watching, Isabella Duffy, if you're new to the show, hit this subscribe button, would you, Isabella? Give us a give us a like, give us a review. But that's it. We ask you to get involved, have your say, and we'll read it out. We don't care. But yeah, it's not normally like this. Normally we'll pick a topic and talk about it. Martin and I would, but he's not here on the top. Why not? And yeah, sorry, Jimmy. Great to hear you. Good night, Isabella. Yeah, it is what it is. I've been called all sorts of things, and that's fine. Yeah, it goes with the territory. But listen, guys, thank you so much. This isn't normally what we do, but it's like a little Brucey bonus, I suppose. And but if you like to see, you love what you hear, please give us a subscribe, but give us a cheeky subscribe on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, scan the QR code if you can, and head over to a Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter account. But we are trying to grow the YouTube channel, and we got a few exciting things in the pipeline now, and we're really excited by it. And you know what? You guys have been fantastic. As always, the Roar faithful, and love speaking to you guys. We will be back on Wednesday. We're going to spoil you now. We're going to give you another live on Wednesday. We're not going to do the Monday program. We're going to wait till Wednesday, do a live on Wednesday, we hope. And then Friday, we'll be back with a regular programming. And don't forget, Monday and Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is when we have a show. Monday, Friday, pardon me, are recorded, and Wednesday is live. So, Isabel, if you want to hit us up again on Wednesday, you're more than welcome. But anyway, thank you very much, guys. We're going to leave it there. Good night. God bless wherever you're watching around the world, and we do have viewers all around the world as well. So, good night. God bless, and safe home. See you on Wednesday.